what's going on with the Safe Route to School trail? One of the first things they did was they came in and they put a couple of sumps in this area. There's one right here that they noticed there was a collection of water, and they wanted to get this water off of the surface of the road. And there was also another one down close to the Learning Center doorway. So the drainage in here is, they figure the water's going to drain this way into this sump, and it's going to drain that way into the sump down there. Now what they're going to do is they're going to dig the sidewalk out here and these steps, and then they're going to make these steps, for whatever reason, the width and height are going to change, and they're going to put a railing in here for them. Where you're standing, they're not going to touch. They're not going to touch that concreted area. They're just going to touch this up here, and they're going to build a sidewalk with curbing all the way down to that chain link fence. As you get to that chain link fence on our property, it's going to bulb out into the street as far as this bulbs out right here, almost into the path of traffic. And it's designed to put students in a crosswalk with a much narrower field of conflict with the vehicles as they're crossing the traffic, the street. Now down there on the other side of the street, there's going to be a paved pathway going down, and it's going to come out, and then there's going to be a bulb on that other side of the street, and there'll be a crosswalk down there, and the pavement will come up here, and there's going to be curbing on the other side with kind of a boulevard of grass, tree-lined area between the pavement and the street. And so to come down here, and then all of a sudden, right about where that tree is, it'll bulb out down here, and then almost where the telephone pole is, it'll bulb back in, and there'll be this crosswalk here. And then as we get down to that telephone pole, there's going to be the same on the corner and the same there. And then that curbing is going to go all the way down to the end of our property, and that trail is going to go down all the way and connect in with the asphalt trail that's there. Now, if you look at the dead tree that they knocked down and the staking, they've staked all the way up to Iowa Avenue, where they're going to put in some asphalt, and they're going to put the trail. Now, one of the concerns that the Johnson family and Baptist Church had when this originally all started was, we're moving a walkway almost on top of their property. And they had asked in the original, is the school district going to do anything to mitigate people being almost on our property? They're really concerned about, people cutting across their property and stuff. We went ahead and we asked for a bid from the contractor we've used in the past for fencing, and I asked him to go ahead and bid out a fence the size of this red one, which is an 8-foot-high fence with privacy slats. And I asked for the privacy slats to go from the district office all the way up to the park, up to Iowa Avenue. And then I said from the district office down to the trail here on this side, just a 4-foot fence with thicker gauged material for the fencing because of the snow that gets plowed into that area. And so he gave a bid on that, and that fence area came out at $20,000 for that fence. So that's going from here all the way up to Iowa Avenue. He is using a more stout pole than he did this fence here, because we did ask him to reach over the fence up there to knock the fence down, and I asked him if we put a fence up with privacy slats, are we going to have that same issue? And he said not with this thicker gauged material that he would be using for the posts. And so we have that as something. So if the family and the minister and the church over there were to say, well, did you try to mitigate your issues with all the traffic you put near our property? The board could say, yeah, we did. We said at the time we looked into it and see if we couldn't, define our property and keep people from being on this side. So by the 20th of August, this should be done. But they're on this side of the street now, trying to get this sidewalk and everything done. And one of the other things that we had talked about a possibility of doing was using some road millings from the highway project between Lolo and I believe it's around Trader Brothers. They're going to be pulling up the road and they're going to take a 2-inch lift and tear it off. And there's going to be some millings. I talked with the highway department. They said that they were going to reserve 1,000 yards of that material for themselves, but if the school district wanted it, they would tell them to go ahead and give them the state's 1,000 yards of material, because the next summer they plan on doing another section all the way to county line, and then the third year out going from county line to light on town. I asked the contractor who's doing this to come in and give me a bid on the parking lot, and I said if we could pave this part, this little square part here, and then pave behind the building over by the trash compactor, and then could we take the road milling and put a 4 to 6 inch lift of road millings in our parking lot down there, and also put a 4 to 6 inch lift of road millings down on the bus turnaround. The bid came in at $48,000. Just to remind you, back in 2006 when I'd asked for bids on paving all these parking lots, at the time we had, I forget who the engineering firm was that did the septic drain field. Can't remember his name. They gave us estimates and everything at $230,000 to pave all of our parking lots. Now for another $34,000 on top of that 48, that same contractor would come over here and would cut all of these trees in this area down, would blade all of this topsoil back, remove all the stumps, prep this, and lay down the chips over here in the district area to make this whole area one big parking lot. Now, I'm not recommending doing that now because I know in the next 2 summers we're going to have projects, and so I would say that's a good project for the following summer to try to grab a hold of and do, where at this time we could actually, take care of some needs here. And eventually what you would like to try to do is to get pavement on that. But those road millings should pack down fairly tight, be a pretty good solution, and we would avoid the types of potholes we would see each year where we come in and try to maintain our parking lots.
How much of that bid was just the paving part of it?
Just to pave this square here and behind on the backside was $24,000. So just to lay out the milling, pack the milling is about $24,000. Important part with the milling, you have to have a nice hot day, and they have to have good water. They're going to have to water it as they spread it, and it's strong compacted. It should set up pretty tight.
It'll last a long time. We had that plant, and there was big tanker trucks doing turnarounds and that stuff. It lasted about 5 years.
As long as you get a thick enough base. So that's what we're doing out here. Any other questions?
What's the part of this area non-ADA compliant? Or was this okay? I thought there was something on getting into the front door here.
Well, it's this width of this. Here to here requires them. We were to take this out. This timber out on both sides to become ADA compliant. Well, you would have to 3/4.
Is that going to clear the deal for any parking over on the other side of the street?
You know what it's going to do? When we talk to they're concerned in the trailer quarters. They don't want a parking lot over there. They really don't.
No.
They haven't been interested in it at all. What we're going to work with the county on is there's going to be the ability to park over there, but we're not going to allow it. We're going to put up no parking zones. If you want to park and your kids are in the building, use the parking lot. This creates a hazard for our kids. And so we're going to get all the traffic that parks out here during school days and move it out. Now, during events, they're going to be able to park out. But we used this for handicapped parking zones, and the county came in and said, the width between your sidewalk and that white line is too narrow for a handicap parking zone. So we really had to put handicap parking in this lot down here, and that's what they were planning on doing, is putting some handicap parking in that lot.
What about that side road there? Is that being worked on this year?
No,
Okay. That wasn't part of this project?
no, it was not.
Okay.
It's one that we're going to work on trying to do some grant writing and see if we can't get that included in the next cycle. It's the next real issue that we're going to face. I think we're going to be okay along the school's property, but once you get to the other side of the street along the private property over there, or you get down lower to the apartments by Glenn's Cafe, then you start getting into easements. And that's what held this project up. This should have been done last summer. But we got into some easement issues on the north end of this project that held us up for over a year. You know, you have to say, with regard to the property owners, they have rights, and I didn't disagree with the things they were asking for, but it just gets into that whole issue of negotiation and trying to make sure you make everybody happy. And for the most part, you know, the church over there was not happy with the idea of friends. Right on the property almost. And they just asked, "Would you please see if you can't put a fence? Give us some privacy." So that's where we're at also.
It seems to be our parking is just barely adequate now.
If we could somehow make this parking, it'd be much better.
Sure.
We end up, like for graduation and on little guy wrestling events or anything else, we use the church's parking. People can actually drive straight down to the park. So we really, for big events, don't have enough parking. And here's the thing about the church. They are good to us. They have turned around and allowed us to utilize their facilities in the event of an emergency. Let's say that we have a bomb scare in our building. We can immediately evacuate our kids and go to that church. If we have a problem with some major problem in our building where we need to evacuate it, we can go to the church. So we have it set up where that is a station that we agree with for 6 years to say, we'll provide that for you as part of the community. So they're very good about it. We're never concerned about, you know, our events, overflow parking falling into their parking lot, and they've been pretty good to us. And that's why when they said, hey, take a look at a fence, it was like, absolutely, try and see how it works. So